After 2 amazing high-speed rides in loamy Oakridge, we packed up and hit the road towards a more desert-like bend. There's 2 main routes to get there, and I recommend that you choose a scenic yet slightly longer drive from Oakridge, as you'll get to wind through lakes and mountains, ultimately passing by the Three Sisters, Broken Top Mountain, and Mount Bachelor, as you drive into Bend with amazing vistas. Hey guys, welcome back. We are in Bend, Oregon today. The day is absolutely beautiful. There is not a single cloud in the sky. We are in the Swampy Trailhead, and just to give you a quick idea of today's route, we caught a shuttle from the Loge Hotel in Bend up to the Swampy Trailhead. From there, we followed the Swampy Lakes Trail into South Fork down to Tumalo Creek. At this point, most people go up North Fork, which is longer but much more mellow climbing. We instead took the short but steep climb up Farewell Trail to Mrazek, which we followed down back to the road. From there, a few short trails got us back to our starting location after approximately 28 miles with 2,000 feet of climbing and 3,500 feet of descending over 4.5 hours. The ride starts out with a traverse which in general is
not very steep, a little techy,
but it works out great as a warm-up for the riding to come. I apologize up front as you'll notice a bit more wind noise than usual in this ride. The wind cover on my GoPro broke as I was setting up, and I didn't have any extras with me that day.
crazy how different the dirt is from Oakridge. This feels completely desert-like, whereas Oakridge was all loamy. But definitely not very steep. So it feels like we're losing elevation, but at a very subtle pace.
As soon as you transition from Swampy Lakes to South Fork, the trail opens up a bit. It still remains pedally and with a low grade, but it's great fun. As a personal opinion, this was my favorite go-fast section of trail in all of Bend.
Well, the nice thing is that you really don't need to use your brakes that much.
Depending on where you look, this trail is either rated as a blue or a black, and that confusion is actually my appreciation of it as well. It's not very technical, but it's definitely super fast without much room for error. It's not quite an intermediate, not quite an advanced trail, which I'm pretty sure the many riders that are starting to make trips beyond their local trails would really appreciate, as you get to experience something completely different without being overwhelmed. As you probably noticed, the dirt to vegetation combo here is quite unique. You get this super fine dusty desert-like dirt with forest-like pine. To make it even more odd, the dirt under the fine layer on top is darker and more loamy, which has tons of grip. At first it was honestly quite confusing, but as the day went on, I got to notice that grip, so long as you kept the front of the bike properly loaded.
Not riding that?
I also chickened out, but Angel made it seem like nothing. South Fork still had a little bit more to go. As you approach the bottom of the creek, it gets a lot more lush and green, which is a really nice change of scenery. Now, I don't really remember saying this, but I guess I thought I was going pretty fast and that there was no runoff area, cause...
Yeah, no crashing here.
In hindsight, it's probably a reflection on the fact that the sides of the trail are littered with fallen trees, which don't look like they'd be much fun to hit. Maybe I still had that pedal strike from the day before in my head. Who knows?
So the trick with this kind of dusty stuff is you either stick really close so you get past the dust cloud before it raises significantly, or you stay about 10 seconds back so that it settles. But this distance that I'm right now, pretty much the worst.
Eventually, the fun on South Fork had to end, but not to worry. As soon as it's over, you are welcomed by this awesome view over Tumalo Creek, a spot in which it's totally worth stopping and just relaxing for a while. So we're gonna do some climbing, and I don't want to wear my chin bar, so I'll keep on filming when we get to the top. Now, from here you can go up Farewell Trail as we did, which is short but steep, or go around North Fork, which is much more scenic but longer. It's really up to each person to know if it's worth going the extra distance to enjoy the view of the falls and the mellow climb. So the climbing up this trail has been quite demanding. It's 1,300 feet in total, but it feels like more. Very steep. And since I'm not wearing the chin bar, I wanted to get the climbing experience in the video as well, because it's an important part of how you're going to enjoy this trail when you come do it. Also some really nice techie climbing. So we just did all this rocky stuff, and the view is just unbelievable. Okay, so we just finished climbing that trail, which was actually a lot of fun. I'm kind of regretting the fact that I didn't have my chin bar on to record it, because it was a nice trail. From here on out, we followed Mrazek all the way back down to the double track, which would eventually lead us back to our lodging. One of the amazing things about Bend is the trail accessibility. You can shuttle up and then ride back down straight into town, but I'll go into more detail with that in the next video when we do funner. It's kind of flat so far. A little bit too flat. So I'm not gonna lie, the beginning of this trail has been mostly boring. It's like you're losing elevation, but you're losing it so slow that it's kind of not a descent. But I just checked trail forks and we're coming up on a section that gets steeper. This really nice viewpoint marks the start of the next descending section. It's not as steep as South Fork, but it's definitely not flat anymore. The technicality is pretty low, which really gives you a chance to flow with lots of turns and just let the bike go. Okay, not so boring anymore. This is great. It's not very steep, which makes it kind of like easier to manage your speed. You don't have to use your brakes that much. You can kind of flow a little bit. This is what I'm talking about. In all honesty, once we got to this double track, it felt like we were going the wrong way. And to this day, I still don't know if we skipped a bit of the trail.
We're going the fun way.
We eventually made our way back into single track a few minutes later at an intersection. So really, no harm done. It was just a lot of fun and fast.
Oh, that was tough. Can't go too fast because you never know if something is trying to murder you right on the other side of the corner.
Visibility of the trail here is odd. Since it's not very steep, you don't get much view about what's ahead and below. Instead, the trail disappears into the bushes, so you're barely seeing about 6 feet away. This adds to the challenge, as sometimes really tight turns to avoid the trees seem to hop out from nowhere.
A lot of pumping here to keep your speed up. These sections I really like because you're like never going straight, just pump, pump, pump. They're nice. Getting on the side of the tire, staying there for a tiny second, and just left, right, left, right. And there's surprising grip considering how loose the ground looks. Woo! So what I have noticed here is that you need to really keep your front fork loaded with your weight there to have traction, because the few times I've sat down to kind of chill, my front starts to go all over the place. Since it's so loose, you really need that weight. This is gonna sound weird, but this feels a lot like Florida riding. Obviously not the descent parts, but the flat parts where you're like between the trees and just pedal, pedal, enjoy. Up, up, down, down. That really feels a lot like Florida. Kind of this stuff.
There is a caveat to be made for this route. The last 6 to 8 miles are mostly flat. The biggest elevation difference is about 150 vertical feet, meaning that by the time the fun is over, you still have a while of, well, kinda boring trail to go before you can exit onto the main road to head back to town. So, is it worth it? Well, that really depends on what kind of rider you are. If you're looking for all-out fast descending or significant tech and gnar, then definitely no. You probably won't love this. But if you're more towards the flowy, less steep stuff, or if you like cross-country, or if you just want a technically easier but more long-distance kind of day, then yes, you'll definitely like it. This is one of those places where expectation will be the key element to determine if this is right for you. While I personally enjoy the riding style of Oakridge more, I know people who would say otherwise. In short, to each their own. Well guys, there we go. We've made it to the bottom. From here on out, we're gonna just hit the fire road to pedal out. I'm not going to record that because it's too hot with the chin bar, and I don't think anybody wants to see Fire Road. So I will see you for the next one, and happy riding.
The one is perfect. Cool in there.